I love what Pastor Kevin DeYoung writes in his book, Crazy Busy. He says, what's wrong and heartbreakingly foolish and wonderfully avoidable is to live a life with more craziness than we want because we have less Jesus than we need. Do you see what he's saying? That your busyness, your crazy schedule is actually avoidable. It's wonderfully avoidable. You can have the rest that you want if and only if you have all the Jesus that you need. If Jesus is enough. Because in the book of Ephesians, God reminds you of the billions of blessings that you have through faith in his Son. You see, at the very beginning of the book, God says, you are my holy people. Like, do you want to live in the land of Ur? How about perfect Ur and holy Ur and good Ur? Like everything that you could possibly be, God says you already are because of the work that Jesus did for you on the cross. Can I tell you that it was this truth that has blessed me 1,000 ways in my life? I had a pastor just before I started my ministry who gave me perhaps the best advice I've ever gotten. I want to share it with you today. He said, Mike, when you get to your first church, here's what you have to do. You have to go into your first church leadership meeting and ask everyone in the room how many hours you should work. And I said, I'm not going to do that. I said, everyone at the church is going to think I'm like a lazy graduate of the seminary who's just trying to skim by with the minimal amount of work. My pastor said, no. He's like, what you're doing is you're finding out what faithfulness looks like. So you're not a slave to some cloudy answer of what it means to be a good pastor. He says, figure out what the number is, work hard, and then rest. You know, I've been to conferences with pastors where when the speaker talks about work-life balance, most of them break down in tears of regret and shame. The souls that they've neglected, the wives and the children who've had dinner alone too many nights. And I looked around and I thought, thank you, God, for that advice. Will some people be disappointed? Sure. But guess what? Christ is enough for me. Well, some people think you should work more than that to be faithful. I'm sure. But I don't need their approval. I have Jesus Christ. And I want to ask you to do the same thing this week. I don't know what your life looks like. I don't know how your schedule is, but figure out what's faithful and draw some hard boundaries so that you can rest. What are my day or days off when I'm not doing anything for anyone because this is the time for God to serve me and give rest to my soul? Because if you go back to the people pleasing, you'll never rest. But if you find everything you need in Jesus' approval of you, you finally can. Thanks for being with us today. If you're busy, which I'm guessing you are, you need to tune in tomorrow. We're going to cover what God says about our crazy busy lives. Don't forget to comment below, click subscribe, and we'll catch you next time. See, the reason you and I slave for people's approval, their acceptance, to be impressive, to be better, is because we so quickly forget what we already have.